Hey legends, I've got a good one for you today. It's 10 completely free plugins that are actually good. So let's get into it. I'm going to have a link to each of these in the description below, so make sure you grab a copy of them. The first plugin is Little Plate by Soundtoys. This is completely free at the moment until the 1st of December, and it's normally $99 US, so go and grab that now before you grab anything else. The way I describe Little Plate is just a really nice, lush, smooth sounding plate reverb. It doesn't have any of that high-end sort of brightness to it. It is quite dark and warm sounding. So here it is on a guitar lead line. Really beautiful reverb, super useful, very easy to use. I loved it. It only has a couple of knobs. You can dial in the sound really quick, and I think simple plugins are awesome. So a lot of the plugins we're going to have a look at today have very simple layouts, and I think that is a really great thing when you're mixing, is to not be clouded by too many options, to have plugins that sound great with just a couple of knobs that can get you a good sound very quickly. So the next plugin we're going to have a look at is Kiive Audio's Warmy EP1A version 2. So this is completely free. You can go over their website, check the link below, and go grab a copy of this. This is basically their version of the Pultec EQ. This has been done to death, but you can't have too many of these kind of plugins, and this one does sound really good. And what's interesting about this one is it has an option to change the tubes, which changes the tone of the EQ, and you can also push the THD, total harmonic distortion, to add more saturation. So let's try this on some drums and see what it sounds like. So I'm pushing it kind of crazy here, but you can see it works really well at doing the Pultec trick. When you boost and you cut the same frequency, you can kind of carve out some of the mid-range, as well as adding some nice, bright, smooth top end, and even rolling off some of those ultra high frequencies. And then playing with the bandwidth really changes the tone up a lot. And the way you can drive the saturation in this EQ is really cool. So let's put the Warmy on the mix bus as well and see what we can get going here. So let's load up a preset mix bus Sheen. Let's have a listen to what this sounds like. Really cool setting, adds a little bit of that Pultec smiley face to your mix, which always sounds great. I've used it on acoustic guitars, vocals, and drums and had really great results. I think this is an amazing plugin, and it should not be free, so go grab it. So the next two plugins I'm going to mention are from Baby Audio, and when you download this, you get 4 plugins that are completely free, but these are the ones that I want to talk about. Okay, the first one is Magic Switch, and this is basically a chorus plugin, and I am a sucker for a little bit of chorus, and I think this plugin sounds really cool. So I'm going to chuck this on some electric guitars. Let's have a listen to what it sounds like.
Safe to say I got a lot to say about it now. Let the dust settle, sweep the rest under the rug.
I love that it just has one button and one little slider to dial in the sound, and that the chorus is kind of set, and it's a really nice sounding chorus at that. So even just dialing in a touch of that on your guitars, even on your vocals, can work some really good wonders. Now, one thing I will mention is that when you put it on a mono track, you can't select mono to stereo, but if you load it up on a stereo track and then drag it over onto a mono track, you can mono to stereo a sound. So little hack there. So while we're talking about Baby Audio, the other plugin that I want to mention from that free bundle plugins you get is Baby Come Back. And this is a delay plugin, and it's got 4 flavors of delay that you can choose from. It is limited to what you can do with it, but the sounds that it gives you are actually pretty good and very usable. I'm going to turn the dry signal all the way down, leave our wet signal up, and I have this on a send. So we're just going to push some signal into it from our vocals and have a listen to what this sounds like.
Safe to say I got a lot to say about it now. Let the dust settle,
got ping pong.
Safe to say I got a lot to say about it now. Let the dust settle, sweep the rest under the rug.
Pretty sweet, some really cool tones there, and you can just feed a bit of signal into this for some throw delay and it works really nicely. If you enjoy videos like this, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell so you can stay in the loop of when these videos are posted. If you want to support this channel, make sure you check out the description link below where there'll be a link to my website. You can go and check out my range of drum samples and mix courses, and there are some multi-tracks up there that you can download and have a play around with mixing yourself. So as I said, I'm a sucker for a bit of chorus, and this next one is called the Tau Chorus LX, and it's basically a copy of a Juno style chorus. So have a little listen to this on some bass guitar. That's a tasty sounding chorus. So go and grab that, completely free, really cool chorus. I can definitely hear that on some bass, some guitars, anything where you want to add a little bit of spice to it. Okay, so this next plugin is free, but it requires an eye lock. So if you don't have an eye lock, sorry, you can't grab this one. But if you do, head over to Softube's website through the link below and you can grab a copy of this saturation plugin. I'm going to show you what it sounds like on a snare drum and see what we can do with it. So pretty cool plugin. I think just using a touch of this on something like your snares and your kicks can add a little bit of spice to them. So pretty powerful little saturation plugin, very simple, one knob and a couple of little options here with the saturation type. So I think you're sensing the theme here. All these plugins are very simple but sound really good. A lot of the time, I think when a plugin is overcomplicated, it makes you double think about whether you want to use it. It might be really great, it might be a Swiss Army knife, but it might be tricky to dial in. Whereas when I'm mixing, I want to grab plugins that are simple, I know what they're going to sound like, and I know I can get the result quickly. So these kind of plugins that I'm showing you are those kind of tools. So this next one's by Izotope, and it's the Ozone Imager 2. And this is a stereo imaging plugin. It lets you spread the sound out, and it even lets you create a bit of a stereo image out of a mono sound, which doesn't actually create annoying phase issues when used tastefully. Let's put this on a lead guitar and see what we can do with it. So a pretty powerful imager, and when used tastefully, you can just add that little bit extra spread to a sound, even just kind of like pushing the reverbs out a bit further, and it can be a really great tool to adding a bit of width to certain sounds in your mix. Even a tiny touch of this on your mix bus can sometimes do wonders. I'm gonna say tiny, just a tiny bit on the mix bus. So the next two plugins we're gonna have a look at are from a Valhalla DSP, but they also have an extra one on their website. So I'd recommend grabbing all three of their free plugins, but these two are the ones that I really want to concentrate on. So the first one is Valhalla's Supermassive. This is like a crazy reverb delay plugin, which creates some epic soundscapes very easily. So let's try this on that lead guitar again and see what we can do with it. How cool is that? That took me like 10 seconds to create a really lush, epic soundscape on that lead guitar. So you can hear it's got delay, reverb, modulation, everything going on. And there's a whole bunch of modes here to try that create different flavors of delay. So this is a really cool plugin, and I've used this a bunch in mixes, so definitely go and grab that. Shouldn't be free, but it is. So the next one we're gonna have a look at is Valhalla's Space Modulator. Now this is a really interesting plugin. It's got like chorus, phase, flange, reverb, a whole bunch of stuff built into it, which lets you get really creative with making some very interesting sounds in your mix. So I'm gonna slap this on the drum bus and see if we can get some sort of spicy drum sound going. So you can hear that's pretty cool, and there's so many great presets in there to kind of play around with, and then you go in and start tweaking that stuff. And even just if you want to sit here and play with the parameters, you can come up with some really crazy sounds. And I've used this on a whole bunch of stuff, especially on drums. I do love it on drums. I think you can get some really fun sounds, even like sort of phasing on the snare. If you want to add a bit of an effect to a single sound in the kit, it's pretty cool. So if you're looking for a cheaper / free alternative to FabFilter's Pro Q3, then you should check out the TDR Nova. This is a parallel dynamic equalizer. While it's not the same as Pro Q3, it does have some similar options, but you can't make unlimited bands. You only have 4, as well as being able to add in a low pass and a high pass filter, and then you can turn these bands into dynamic EQs as well. So let's try this on the mix bus and I'll have a little play around with it. So it's a pretty cool EQ, it's pretty powerful. I will say it's a little clunky to use, it's kind of slow on the knobs and it kind of feels a bit laggy, but if you want an alternative to paying for something with a dynamic EQ, it sounds pretty good. It does a pretty decent job of kind of reining in those problem frequencies, getting a little bit of that dynamic EQ movement happening, and just, yeah, I think overall it's a pretty sweet EQ for the price of 0. So there is my top 10 free plugins that I think you should go and grab a copy of, because they are very powerful and useful tools, and they are completely free for the taking. So use the links in the description below and go grab a copy of each of those plugins and start using them in your productions. If you need some inspiration on some fun effects that you can add to your mixes, check out this next video coming up where I'll take you through 7 effects that can help make your mixes a little bit more exciting.